Hi, good afternoon, it's Jim from maverickstar Observatory. Three things I want to get through in this video, and probably not in this order. Electric cars, I really want to get to the bottom of whether they are as green and as friendly as they are. Doesn't matter regardless anyhow what we say or what we, what scientists tell people about these days. They're going to believe what they see on TV, and in a lot of cases these people are just seeing others driving around in them, and it's become the new trend. So we're going to see a lot more electric vehicles on the road, but the question we're going to ask and just consider a few key aspects about producing electric cars will be the topic. The other one is a two-tier state system, and you're going to absolutely know what I'm talking about when I get on with this part of this video, talking about a two-tier state system where we've got the poor people now, there is no middle class, and we've got the rich people. And the other one, finally, is about funding. And I know that's probably where everybody's going to turn off. And, I think if that is the case, you can't listen to, me talking about funding for this observatory, then really, why do you even come here in the first place? If you're not concerned about your world in which you live, or the environment, or the truth about CO2 and things like that, why are you even here in the first place? You'd be better off watching pranks and, I don't know, if you're a petrolhead, something about cars or something else. Just putting that out there. So before we begin, just a big thanks to two people yesterday that, even after, me explaining honestly what the situation was here with the observatory, we managed to just get through to two people. When you consider over 1,000 people view, and there's only two people that are prepared to invest in a worthwhile course, there's a lot. I hope you would agree, there's a lot worse things you can do than invest in keeping a public observatory going with regards to one of the most important things happening in mankind right now. You would think that there'd be more people interested in doing that. Okay, so let's get on with what we're seeing more and more appear on the roads. And I hate electric cars. I hate everything about them. I hate everything that the government is telling us that they're good for, because the reality is they're not. And just before I start, here in the UK, the beginning of the year, we have had energy costs go up 70%, and I wouldn't be surprised if the reason for those energy costs going up that much are because more and more people are plugging their electric cars in to charge for 4 and 5 hours into the grid, and therefore the demand for electricity has gone up. That means the demand for gas power plants, coal power plants, nuclear power plants is going to go up, and they're not practical. I mean, can you imagine all the people in New York that own cars trying to charge them up? Could you imagine the state of what the high rises would look like with all these cables coming out, leaking down onto the road to charge these vehicles up? Is there a charge point for every vehicle in New York right now? Probably not. There's probably not enough charge points for electric cars in New York alone. But that's just another aspect. The point is this, is that the more that people purchase these horrible, inefficient, environmentally disastrous vehicles, we are going to see more demand on the grid. And before they started to pour out onto the streets 10 years ago, we was already struggling to keep up with demand. So when everyone starts plugging these electric cars into the grid, demanding the electricity to be charged up, there's going to be big problems, and the government are talking about that here in the UK right now. And we've probably seen energy prices go up all around the world. It's just a classic, isn't it? Energy prices are going up, food's doubling, and what on top of that? Wage cuts. Yeah, they're taking more off us all around, and taxes are going up. We've just had an announcement from, Moped Johnson, that he's going to put up the national insurance by, I think, 1.5%. So, further cutbacks. And is it no wonder when we look around the world, we're seeing in Germany, people fighting the police. And look what the police are doing. They're just firing back rubber bullets, tear gas, water cannon on them, for protesting in a pandemic time. What else did we see yesterday on the news? Somebody went into a shop, they was asked to remove the mask by the shop owner or the shop worker, and somebody pulled the gun out and shot them. Yeah, the world is going completely insane. And you know, if you're a scientist or a logic thinker, you might as well just lock yourself away in the closet or bury your head in the sand, because we're at a point in time where people just aren't listening to facts. They're not reasonable. You can't have a discussion with them. And you know, if they don't like what you say, guess what they do? They pull the plug on your your social media site, like YouTube is doing, like Facebook is doing, like Twitter is doing, monitoring those people, you know, that are trying to inform the masses of what times they're in, how much danger they're in, and you know, what is really going on in the criminal world, which the global governments associating. Okay, so just a couple of facts about electric cars, and you tell me if you think they're clean. In the production of an electric battery, there is 10 to 17 tons of CO2 required to make that battery. It obviously consists out of lithium, although there is plans and development underway to make these batteries out of cobalt. But the problem is where lithium and cobalt come from. Well, lithium, as we know, comes from where is it? Not Brazil, Bolivia. And the other countries where cobalt comes from, they're using child labour to produce them. So you know, the big thing is that lithium isn't a renewable source. You know, there is only such amount of lithium on the planet, and once it's gone, it's gone. It takes, in the production of cleaning the lithium out of the salt, the byproduct is brine, and you get 70 tons of brine to make 1 ton of lithium. And that gets pumped straight back out into the sea. And the thing is, with that, pumping brine out into the sea, brine-rich water, it just kills everything for miles down the coastline. So not very environmentally friendly. What else? The recycling the battery is very difficult and costly, and there isn't really a method in place to recycle the batteries. I know that a lot of the places where these batteries, the old batteries, are stored, it's prone for fires, because you know, we've all seen even mobile phone batteries in people's pockets set on fire. Well, you just type it up. These storage facilities have used batteries, how common it is to have fires in them. You know, that's just one of the problems involved in recycling them, and it's the way that they're built that makes them very difficult to pull apart and, you know, recycle those important elements like lithium. Then there's the charging of the battery. Now, if you live in a vicinity of a coal burning power plant, how efficient do you think your using of the electric car is when you're having to produce your electricity by burning coal in order to do that? I think enough said. You know, these cars are not, as they talk about, sustainable, because there is a life for the battery, probably 6 years or maybe a couple more, or give or take a few. I know that these batteries are made up of similar cells to what's in your computer, only the fact is there's 17,000 cells in some of these batteries, and it only takes one to massively reduce the efficiency of the whole pack. So if you've got 1 out of 17 which has failed, then the performance of that battery drops significantly. You know, when you consider it's just one cell that's gone down in the battery. To replace the battery is probably between £10,000 and £20,000, maybe half the cost of the car. So how is all this better than the combustion engine? You know what, they never really did, in my view, go as far as what they could have done with the hybrid. I understand, you know, producing more cleaner environments isn't a bad thing, especially in cities where lots of combustion engines are running day in, day and night. You know, it's not a bad thing. But why not have a hybrid, which we've got the technology already and is on some cars already, where you can just flick the switch over to fully electric, and when you're not using the electric and you're not in the city, like you're on a motorway, you can flick it back over to petrol or combustion, and have that engine charge the battery up and not have it to plug it into the house. So I'm sure this technology was already in existence, and you're going to be telling me in the comment section, but why aren't they promoting that? Why have they gone fully electric and not hybrid? Anyhow, moving on to the two-tier system. Do you remember a few years ago when HSBC were found to be laundering cartel drug dealers' money in the billions. Got a couple of £1 million fine for it. Not really a deterrent, is it? But my point is this: the two-tier system is in place already, and I'll give you a few examples. One of them is the HSBC bank, where they was laundering billions of pounds of cartel drug dealers' money. And my point is this: if it had been the average Joe who had laundered £1,000, he'd have had and they'd have found out it was drug related, they would have took his property off him, all his assets off him, threw him in jail for probably about 9 years. And we don't see that. What we see is these rich people getting away with blue murder, and it is one law for them and one law for us, and this is becoming more apparent. And we are already merged into a society where a lot of people don't want to do anything about this. But I can guarantee you this: if you do not take responsibility for your actions and other people's actions and change for the better, then it's never going to get worse. What we're dealing with is like a heroin addict that knows it's bad for it to take drugs, but nevertheless it still carries on taking the drugs. The only way to deal with the problem is address it. And right now, people feel powerless to do anything about it, and of course, because they keep getting pushed further and back into that corner, they're never going to do anything until they can't go any further. And what point will that be for you? Tell me in the description. Tell me what your thoughts are on these things. We are living in a society where we are watching bad magicians on the stage pull out rabbits that we saw shuffling around in the pocket already, and the rabbit peeping out the magician's out already. We knew it was there, and we're watching these really bad acts. And this is the government. This is their performance, pulling the wool over people's eyes. What happened in Afghanistan recently, I think, was a catastrophe and a waste and an insult on all those people that went to war to straighten the problems out in that country in the first place. 2 decades wasted, £1 trillion hunting one person. It was never worth it in the start. And we know that out of that £1 trillion, there has been a lot of money stashed away in other people's pockets illegally that have got away with, their crimes. And, I'm just saying this. Here in the UK, we're already taxed 20%. That's 1/5 of our salary. And with all the prices rising, further restrictions pending due to the pandemic, there is going to be at some point a flashpoint. I'm starting to feel that some people can't take any more. From what I read sometimes in the descriptions, it's just heartache. And we are creating this world for ourselves, and we keep allowing these people to come into power. I will tell you this: as long as they keep coming into power, nothing is ever going to change. You'll be more poorer in the future. You'll own less. Is this starting to sound familiar? What was said at Davos? You'll own nothing and be happy. Is that really what they think? How many people have you seen that's on the street are happy, that own nothing? I think they've got to the point where they're almost trying to believe their own bullshit. Don't ask me what they're on, but there you go. Okay, moving on to the funding aspect. That's probably where a lot of people will switch off, and that's easy to find out, because I can see at what point I started talking about this and doing the analytics and see what point people started to walk away. It's as simple as this. We are in a time and period where we should all be working together. On average, on YouTube, we get over 1,000 views. If just every one of those people, 1,000, or sometimes we get 2,000, but if just 1,000 of those people put 10 quid in to that PayPal account, we would have £10,000 in a pot, and we could probably hire a person to do probably, some of the work on the electronics, building a better platform for you to watch and other things. It wouldn't be just one person doing it all the time. It made me laugh the other day when someone made a comment, and I kicked them for it as well, like I do all the other idiots that make stupid comments. Said, there was a time where YouTubers made videos for the sake of making videos, and now it seems like everyone's making it to make money. That's just amazing. You know, but I've had a lot worse than that said about me in any case, you know. She said basically go and get a, well, she did say get a job, and I already have a job, and I already do this as well. So, you know, these people that make the comments just haven't got a clue what they're talking about. So yeah, you know, there needs to be more done in terms of funding, and I don't know what it is that stops people doing it. It's the worst of things to fund in this day and age than an observatory which is monitoring the rarest event mankind has ever been through, and at the same time relaying that information that's collected at this observatory back to the general public. You ain't getting that from anywhere else. There is nobody else with the Trimag system that is giving you the information about the exact location and position and how fast that pole is migrating over the last month. You won't get that from the ESA, you won't get that from the Swarm mission, you won't get it from NASA or any other institution. You will not get that. So, you know, I just wonder if how important it is to some people. You know, if we already got to that point where we don't care about, you know, the fact that we are standing on the track and the train is coming, but we'll just stay on it anyhow and get swiped by it. I don't know, guys. I'll leave you hopefully with a few things to think about. Electric cars, give me your view. Give me a view on the two-tier system. Other examples where, you know, these rich get away with it and the poor don't. You know, the rich are also allowed to talk about what they want on these social platforms and get away with it. I know what you're going to say. Well, Donald Trump wasn't allowed to. Well, you know, with the exception of Donald Trump, there are a lot of other people that seem to have a free card, a free pass to say what they want. It's just the freedom of speech has been restricted for a certain type of people, the average Joe, just like me and you. You know, we need to stick together. That's the only way we're going to beat these fuckers. So, with that, guys, there's a link down there below. As always, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll say what I usually do. Take care. Bye for now.